Welcome to our newest exhibit, Ohio and Unnatural History, where we decided to take a look at Ohio's folklore and mythical creatures and urban legends that we've been telling each other for several years. And we wanted to unpack what those legends are, how they've changed over time, where they come from, is there any kernel of historical truth to them, and we just want to appreciate Ohio's rich collection of bizarre folklore. And so this is the entry room when you come into the exhibit. We have our so-called conspiracy board here, where we're looking at different supposed sightings and where things occurred all across the state. We have some kind of oddities that you would associate with the paranormal and with urban legends of this type. And we kick off the exhibit by asking the question, what is folklore? We were very kindly joined by a professor of folklore studies at Bowling Green State University, Dr. Esther Clinton, who lended her expertise to a video interview, just telling us what folklore is, why it's important, why do we still care about these stories, and it turns out that this part of culture plays a very important role in our society. And we also look at we acknowledge that there is a significant portion of American society that does believe in these tales. And it turns out that the majority of Americans believe in something paranormal. 52% is what research shows. And in order to research this, we looked at some research in sociology. And we are very excited that Professor of Sociology, Christopher Bader, who did a bunch of breakthrough research on just what do Americans believe related to paranormal topics like this, will be joining us in a Skype Q&A in the fall to talk about his book, Paranormal America. So this is our Hall of Monsters, as we've been calling it, where local artist Dan Chazinski used his talents as an artist to bring these legends to life. In 2D imagery on our panels, as well as life-size cutouts. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is one legend that I grew up hearing about, and that is the Headless Motorcyclist of Elmore, Ohio. According to the legend, a young man shipped off to war for World War I, came home to reunite with his girlfriend, only discovered that she had married someone else. In his despair, he tears off in a rage on his motorcycle and crashes on a bridge, losing his head. And to this day, on that bridge near Elmore, on the anniversary of his death, supposedly March 21st, if you go to the bridge and you shine your lights, this motorcycle light will appear and chase you off the bridge. Interestingly, with a lot of folk tales, there are different versions of them depending on where you go. This exact same story appears in Miami of Ohio at Oxford. Story's a little bit different. It takes place during World War II. And in that tale, the motorcyclist and his girlfriend, his parents didn't like the fact that he rode a motorcycle and forbid them from seeing each other. And so he would go pick her up at night after they had fallen asleep riding his motorcycle. One night he had been drinking and crashed into some barbed wire, losing his head. But these stories are almost identical. And what's fun with our exhibit is we get to look at how these stories are structured and how they change over time and vary from place to place. And that's what makes folklore very interesting. What is a cryptid creature? Well, a cryptid creature is a creature that is reported to exist but has not been proven to exist. And if you're talking about cryptid legendary creatures, the one that you have to talk about is this guy. We call him in Ohio the Ohio Grassman. You would be familiar with him as Bigfoot or Sasquatch, the same supposed creature that stalks the forest of the Pacific Northwest. Pretty much an identical tale with our Grassman. Supposedly, according to people who claim to have seen him, Grassman in Ohio is a little bit more aggressive than Sasquatch out west. Supposedly, according to people who have claimed to have seen the creature, there is a Bigfoot-like creature or a family of them that live in southeastern Ohio, centered around Salt Fork State Park. which is located in Guernsey, Ohio. And that is the site of the Ohio Bigfoot Conference, which is an annual convention of Bigfoot enthusiasts and Bigfoot hunters that occurs every year. If you look this way, as part of our exhibit, our guest artist, Dan Chazinski, was kind enough to loan his interpretation of a Bigfoot footprint that is on the left. That is a sculpture that he made out of resin. And if we look to the right, this is a supposed reported Bigfoot footprint that was taken from a plaster of Paris cast of a reported footprint from Saltford State Park in Guernsey County. We close out our Ohio and Unnatural History exhibit with a question: what is folklore today? Is this still going on, or are these just old tales that have kind of run their course? Turns out folklore is part of human nature, and it is continuing, and it will continue into the future. And so what does that look like in the 21st century, given all of our technology? Well, the process of creating folklore is just accelerating. A prime example of this is something known as a creepypasta. Might be a term you're not familiar with, but what it is creepypastas are these tales that people post online, and they sometimes they use folk tales that exist, like Bigfoot, the Grassman, or Mothman, and they add to the story. But those stories then become legends in their own right. People report seeing them. The best example of this is a character called Slender Man. We know Slender Man was created in 2009. He's a copyrighted fictional character, but because all these tales of Slender Man have permeated throughout the internet, it's entered folklore, and people very quickly began claiming they were seeing Slender Man in the woods. Some people in the paranormal community, podcasts, message boards, and so forth, started associating the Slender Man concept with Native American spirits that are mischievous or sometimes evil. And so this is very interesting for folklorists, because they're seeing a process that took decades, if not centuries, to create these urban legends and tales. It's now happening within a matter of years because of things like social media and the internet.